These machines were built before the internet existed, before GPS, before smartphones, before anyone thought a diesel engine could outlive 3 generations of owners. And yet, right now, on farms, quarries, and construction sites across the world, wheel loaders built in the 1980s are still clocking in for a full day's work. No retirement, no museum, just iron, hydraulic fluid, and sheer mechanical stubbornness. Today we look at 10 of the toughest wheel loaders from the 1980s that simply refuse to die. Number 10. Allis Chalmers 545, 1980-1985. We start the list with an underdog that deserves far more credit than it gets. The Allis Chalmers 545 wheel loader. Allis Chalmers was one of America's most historic equipment manufacturers, and by the early 1980s they had refined the 545 into a capable, no-nonsense mid-size loader. The machine ran on an Allis Chalmers diesel engine producing around 100 horsepower, had an operating weight of approximately 16,868 pounds, and was built to handle the kind of medium-duty earth-moving that filled the workday on small to mid-size construction jobs. What made the 545 special was its sheer simplicity. The hydraulic systems were straightforward to service. The powertrain was robust, parts were plentiful, and operators genuinely loved the ergonomics of the cab for its era. Allis Chalmers would eventually exit the construction equipment business in 1985 when their equipment division was absorbed into the Fiat Allis joint venture, ultimately becoming Fiat Allis. But the machines themselves kept working long after the brand disappeared. You can still find 545s on farms in the American Midwest doing loader work, moving silage, and cleaning feedlots. They were built to last, and last they did. The 545 earns its place on this list as proof that engineering quality outlives corporate decisions. Number 9. Fiat Allis FR10 1980-1983. Speaking of Fiat Allis, the partnership between Fiat Spa and Allis Chalmers that formally launched in January 1974 produced some genuinely capable machines in the early 1980s. The FR10 wheel loader was one of them. The FR series was Fiat Allis's attempt to compete directly with Caterpillar and Komatsu in the mid-size loader segment. These machines featured articulated frames, the industry-standard design that gave operators the turning ability they needed in tight spaces, and were powered by proven diesel engines. What is historically interesting about Fiat Allis machines from this era is the company's complicated ownership structure. By the early 1980s, Fiat had increased their ownership stake in the joint venture to 85%, and by November 1985, Fiat had bought out Allis Chalmers' remaining minority interest entirely. In 1986, Fiat Allis then formed another joint venture with Hitachi to manufacture excavators. Despite all of this corporate reshuffling, the machines themselves were well built and durable. FR10 units have been spotted at auction, still running, sometimes with well over 10,000 hours on them. In countries like Brazil and Argentina, where Fiat Allis had significant manufacturing and sales presence, these machines have exceptional longevity because parts supply and local mechanical knowledge kept them alive for decades. A machine that survived multiple corporate mergers and is still working? That earns respect. Number 8. Case 621, introduced 1988. Case Corporation introduced the 621 wheel loader in 1988, and it immediately became one of the most popular mid-size loaders in North America. And for good reason. It was a brilliantly balanced machine. The 621 was powered by a Cummins diesel engine, which was a major selling point. Cummins engines were, and still are, legendary for longevity, ease of service, and availability of parts. Pair that with a well-designed 4-speed power-shift transmission, articulated steering, and a machine that was accessible for field repairs, and you had a recipe for a loader that would still be working 35 years later. The 621 found particular success in the snow removal market, in construction, in quarrying, and in agricultural applications. Its compact size and solid breakout force made it versatile across industries. Today, the Case 621, especially the early B and BXT variants, is a staple at equipment auctions. Mechanics who know these machines swear by them. Parts remain available, The Cummins engine can be rebuilt or replaced with a straightforward swap. And thousands of these machines are still actively working in North America and Europe, doing everything from pushing snow off parking lots to loading aggregate at small quarries. The 621 is a perfect example of why a great engine choice at the factory level creates a machine that outlives everyone's expectations. Number 7. John Deere 544D 1985-1990. John Deere has been manufacturing wheel loaders since the early days of articulated loader design, and by the mid-1980s, the 544D represented the company's refined, mature approach to mid-size loaders. The 544 platform had been in development and evolution since the 1960s. By the time the D series arrived in 1985, John Deere had figured out exactly what operators needed: strong breakout force, reliable transmission, and a machine that could be serviced efficiently in the field. The 544D was powered by a John Deere diesel engine producing approximately 115 horsepower, weighed in at around 22,000 pounds in operating trim, and offered bucket capacities in the 2 to 2.5 cubic yard range, ideal for construction and agricultural applications. John Deere's dealer network was, and remains, one of the strongest in the heavy equipment industry. That nationwide parts and service infrastructure meant that 544D owners were never far from a dealer who could supply parts or provide technical support. This directly contributed to the machine's longevity. Today, 544D units are still working on farms throughout the Midwest, at recycling facilities, and in landscaping operations. Their green and yellow paint may be faded, their cabs may lack air conditioning, but their hydraulics keep lifting and their engines keep running. A well-maintained 544D is genuinely difficult to wear out. Number 6. Komatsu WA300-1 1981-1990. In 1981, Komatsu launched what would become one of the most important product lines in wheel loader history, the WA series. The WA designation stood for wheel, and though operators simply knew it as Komatsu's dedicated wheel loader family, the WA300-1 was a flagship model in this early generation. Komatsu had been building wheel loaders since 1965, starting with the JH30B through a technical partnership with International Harvester. By 1981, they had absorbed enough knowledge and developed enough proprietary technology to launch the WA series as a fully independent product line. The WA300-1 benefited from this deep institutional knowledge. The machine was powered by a Komatsu diesel engine, producing around 160 horsepower, featured articulated steering, and was engineered for heavy-duty applications including quarrying, mining support, and large-scale construction. Komatsu's engineering philosophy emphasized long service intervals, ease of maintenance access, and modular component design that made rebuilding the machine cost-effective. The WA series quickly became and remains one of the best-selling wheel loader families in the world. The WA270-8, a modern descendant, is still the top-selling financed wheel loader over 90 horsepower in the United States today. That kind of institutional success traces its roots directly back to machines like the WA300-1. Units from the early 1980s are still actively working in Asia, South America, and Africa, where robust construction and abundant parts availability keep them alive and productive. Number 5. Volvo L50, 1987-1992. Volvo Construction Equipment traces its wheel loader heritage back to 1954, when Bolinde Munktell, owned by Volvo, introduced the H10, their first articulated loader concept. By the late 1980s, Volvo had refined this heritage into the L-series wheel loaders, and the L50 became one of the most beloved compact loaders of its generation. Manufactured from 1987 to 1992, the Volvo L50 was a compact wheel loader producing around 85 to 90 horsepower. It featured Volvo's load-sensing hydraulic system, a genuinely advanced feature for the era, which meant the hydraulic pump only produced the flow and pressure that was actually demanded, improving fuel efficiency significantly compared to fixed displacement systems. The L50 also featured Volvo's TP linkage, which provided excellent bucket fill characteristics and visibility over the load. The Care Cab, Volvo's name for their operator environment, was among the most comfortable in its class. The L50's compact dimensions made it extremely popular in European cities, in landscaping, in utilities work, and in agriculture. Its hydrostatic transmission gave it the fine control that operators needed in confined spaces. Today, L50 units are cherished by landscapers and small contractors across Scandinavia, the United Kingdom, and Western Europe. Their parts are well supported by Volvo CE's extensive aftermarket network, and operators who know them refuse to trade them for newer machines because nothing in the compact segment quite replicates the L50's blend of visibility, control, and maneuverability. Number 4. Michigan 75 IV, early 1980s. The Michigan name carries enormous weight in wheel loader history. Michigan wheel loaders were originally manufactured by Clark Equipment Company, and by the early 1980s, Michigan loaders were known throughout the heavy construction and mining industries as exceptionally powerful, exceptionally durable machines. The Michigan 75 IV was a large frame wheel loader from the early 1980s, competing directly with Caterpillar's 966 and Komatsu's larger WA series in the heavy-duty segment. These were serious machines, operating weights in the 40,000 to 50,000 pound range, powered by large displacement diesel engines and designed for high production applications where uptime was measured in dollars per hour. Michigan loaders eventually transitioned through Volvo's acquisition, with the Michigan brand being incorporated into Volvo Construction Equipment's product line. But the machines built before this transition, particularly those from the early 1980s, were built to Clark Equipment's rigorous specifications and have proven extraordinarily durable. What keeps Michigan 75 IV machines alive today is the same thing that keeps all vintage iron working: meticulous maintenance and operators who understand the machine intimately. Mining operations and large quarries in South America and Africa still run these machines because the cost of rebuilding a known, well-maintained unit is far lower than purchasing new equipment. These machines are true workhorses of the heavy equipment world, quietly productive, stubbornly alive. Number 3. Case W36-821, mid-1980s. Case Corporation produced some of the most capable large-frame wheel loaders of the 1980s, and the W36, along with its successor numbering as the 821 series, stands as one of their finest achievements from this era. The W36 and early 821 were large loaders powered by Cummins diesel engines, producing in the range of 165 to 200 horsepower. Their operating weights put them firmly in the heavy-duty segment, making them appropriate for quarrying, large construction projects, and aggregate handling. The case advantage in this era came from the same source as the 621, that excellent Cummins powertrain. Operators and mechanics trusted Cummins engines. Parts were everywhere. Rebuilding was straightforward. A Cummins-powered machine, properly maintained, can accumulate extraordinary hours before requiring a major rebuild. Case also used power-shift transmissions from Dana or their own Case-designed units, which were known for robustness in demanding applications. The combination of a strong engine, solid transmission, and an articulated frame that was designed with field serviceability in mind gave the W36 and early 821 machines an exceptional lifespan. Many of these machines are still found at quarries and recycling operations, having received one or more engine rebuilds over the decades, but otherwise remaining mechanically sound. When the frame is straight and the hydraulics are healthy, rebuilding is always cheaper than replacing, and these machines have frames that simply do not give up. Number 2. John Deere 644D 644E, 1986-1996. Step up from the 544 and you reach the 644. John Deere's large frame wheel loader that became an icon of durability in the late 1980s and early 1990s. The 644D and 644E represent the peak of Deere's analog-era engineering, and they are still earning their keep today. The 644D was introduced in 1986, powered by a John Deere 6-cylinder diesel engine producing approximately 155 to 175 horsepower, depending on configuration. The operating weight ran around 37,000 pounds, and the machine offered bucket capacities in the 3.0 to 3.75 cubic yard range, putting it squarely in competition with the Caterpillar 966 and Komatsu WA300-1 in the medium-heavy loader segment. John Deere built the 644 platform on a philosophy of longevity. The frames were heavily constructed. The articulation joint, the single most stress-prone component on any articulated wheel loader, was designed with oversized pins and bushings that could be replaced multiple times over the machine's life without frame damage. The 644E followed in the early 1990s and carried forward this philosophy with incremental improvements to the operator environment and hydraulic efficiency. Today, 644D and 644E machines are highly prized in the used equipment market. A well-maintained example with a solid frame, good hydraulics, and a rebuilt or low-hour engine sells quickly. They are used in gravel pits, sawmills, recycling yards, and on large farms. The John Deere dealer network means that finding parts is never a problem, and operators who have run these machines for decades trust them with their livelihood. The 644D is a machine that simply refuses to be replaced, and its legion of loyal operators backs that up with real daily evidence. Number 1. Caterpillar 950B, 1981-1990. There was really only one machine that could top this list. The Caterpillar 950B is arguably the most successful, most durable, and most widely surviving wheel loader of the 1980s. If you go to an equipment auction anywhere in North America today, you are statistically very likely to find a 950B or its close relatives. Caterpillar introduced the 950B in 1981. It represented a significant step forward in Caterpillar's wheel loader lineup, refining the successful 950 platform with improved reliability, better operator ergonomics, and a more efficient powertrain. The machine had an operating weight of approximately 14.7 metric tons, about 32,400 pounds, and was powered by a Caterpillar diesel engine, delivering enough power to handle the demanding mid-size loader work it was designed for. The 950B had a bucket capacity of 2.4 cubic meters, a maximum discharge height of 2.9 meters, and a travel speed of 36.4 kilometers per hour. These were class-leading numbers for the early 1980s, and they translated into genuine productivity on job sites. But raw specifications are not why the 950B is number 1 on this list. It is number 1 because of what the machine is made of. Caterpillar engineering DNA that prioritized rebuildability from the ground up. Every major component on a 950B, the engine, the transmission, the torque converter, the axles, the hydraulic cylinders, was designed to be rebuilt, not discarded. Caterpillar's dealer network and rim and parts program meant that operators could walk into virtually any Cat dealer on the planet and get rebuilt components with factory tolerances. That infrastructure kept 950B machines alive through decades of hard use. An owner who greases every fitting, changes oils on schedule, and addresses hydraulic leaks before they become catastrophic problems can keep a 950B running essentially forever. There are verified examples of these machines accumulating over 30,000 hours with multiple engine and transmission rebuilds, still working, still productive. The 950B found applications everywhere: construction sites, quarries, recycling facilities, municipalities, farms, mines, ports, and sawmills. Its size was the perfect match for an enormous range of tasks. Not too big, not too small. Just right for the vast majority of wheel loader work that actually needs to be done. Today, 950B machines are a staple of the used equipment market. Prices vary enormously depending on condition and hours, but the market for them remains active because the demand remains real. Contractors who know these machines are not buying them out of nostalgia. They are buying them because a properly rebuilt 950B represents extraordinary value per dollar of investment. The Caterpillar 950B is the undisputed king of 1980s wheel loaders that still work today. No other machine from that era has survived in such numbers, across such a diversity of applications, across so many countries. It is a monument to what happens when engineers prioritize durability above all else. If you found this video useful, please hit the like button. It genuinely helps this channel reach more heavy equipment enthusiasts. Subscribe if you are new, and we will see you in the next one.